What if I told you that most tech sales reps are leaving $150,000 on the table every single year and they don't even realize it? I've closed deals with over 15 Fortune 500 companies, $185 million in revenue, and $3.1 million in commissions just in the last 5 years. But here's the wild part. After coaching and analyzing thousands of sales reps, I found that the difference between a $150K rep and the rep that makes $300K plus comes down to 4 skills. Not hustle, not luck, not even your territory. And here's the kicker. Almost everyone misses skill number 3. I'm talking about the one skill that actually creates urgency, gets you paid, and makes you the rep execs want to work with. Most reps, they don't even know it exists. I'm Eric Fisher. I'm not a retired sales coach. I'm still in the trenches closing multi-million-dollar deals, President's Club 15 years straight. And today, I'm going to show you the 4 skills that separate the top 1% from everyone else grinding to hit their quota. But before we get tactical, let me hit you with a question. When's the last time you lost a deal that you thought was absolutely locked? The prospect goes dark, or worse, we're going with someone else. And you're left staring at your pipeline wondering what the hell happened. That moment, I bet it came down to one of these 4 skills, and I'm betting it was number 3. Here's what most reps get wrong. They think having a champion means they're safe. But in B2B sales, betting your commission on one contact is like playing Russian roulette with your pipeline. Why? Because in enterprise deals, you're not selling to a person, you're selling to a committee. The VP of engineering cares about delivery timelines. The VP of finance, budget allocation and ROI. End users want their lives easier. In procurement, they want to squeeze you for every single penny. Most reps multi-thread by blasting the same email to 5 people. But that's not multi-threading, that's spam. Now here's the real play. You tailor your message to each stakeholder's world. So when I talk to a VP of engineering, I'm focused on how our solution helps them hit roadmap targets without burning out their team. Now with finance, it's about how this investment fits their budget cycle and unlocks new capital. Same product, completely different conversations. And that's how you build consensus and momentum. But here's where it gets interesting. Multi-threading isn't just about risk mitigation. It's a pipeline multiplier. When you have champions in multiple departments, deals move way faster and you get early warning signals before things ever go sideways. But even if you master multi-threading, you're still stuck if you don't know how to run discovery like a pro. And most reps, they're asking the wrong questions. Let's be real, most discovery calls are a complete snooze fest. Tell me about your challenges. By the way, if you're still asking that, you're already losing. Top reps don't just uncover pain, they quantify business impact. I use a framework called FIRE: future state vision, impact assessment, risk evaluation, and execution planning. Instead of what are your goals, I'll ask them, if you could deploy this solution 6 months faster, what would that mean for your market share? Now we're talking about real business outcomes, not features. Here's the difference. Average reps talk about features. 300K reps talk about how those features move the needle on either revenue, cost, or risk, sometimes all 3. Before every call, I often spend 30 to 60 minutes researching financials, recent announcements, and industry trends. But most sales reps, they're tweaking their pitch deck. You can't be a product pusher and expect to get paid like a business advisor. The market doesn't reward that anymore. But here's the twist. Even if you're a discovery ninja, you'll still plateau if you don't master the one skill that actually gets you paid what you're worth. All right. Here's where 90% of reps hit a wall. Value anchoring and deal orchestration. Most reps present their solution and cross their fingers hoping the customer gets it. But top reps, they get the customer to calculate the value themselves. Let me show you how this plays out. I was working with a manufacturing company in the past, and instead of pitching cost savings, I asked the customer this: how much revenue do you lose every hour your systems are down? They said $200,000 after a few questions and doing a little bit of math. How often does that happen? I asked them. Twice a month. Suddenly, they're staring at a $4.8 million problem. That's their number, not mine. Now, I didn't tell them the ROI, they told me. Now, let's be real for a second. This took me slowing things down and asking them to write this down so they did the math, not me. But once they had the number, I just sat in silence. You gotta let them sit with it for a minute. It makes it real and painful. But here's the real secret. Value anchoring isn't a one and done move. You have to reinforce it at every stage. When procurement pushes back, you reference their own math. When new stakeholders join, you have your champions explain the value. This is what I call deal orchestration. You're not just managing a sales process, you're orchestrating a buying process where everyone is invested in the outcome. Most reps never do this. That's why they get stuck at 150K. But the ones who do, they're getting paid 300K, 400K, even 500K plus every single year. But even with perfect value anchoring, there's one more skill that turns deals into multi-year partnerships, and most reps completely ignore it. Here's the truth. Executives don't care about your product demo, but you probably know that. They care about strategic outcomes and what their peers are doing in the industry. So when I'm building relationships with VPs and then working on getting quarterly meetings with the C-suite, I'm not talking features or capabilities. Instead, I'm sharing insights about their industry, trends, what other leaders are doing, and how this decision impacts their department's performance. So instead of let me show you how our solution solves your problem, I'll say something like, hey, I just met with another VP in your space who solved this exact problem. Here's how they approached it, or here's what's on their mind. You want to be the sales rep who brings external perspective, another point of view, not just another vendor. I also practice strategic giving, which means sharing valuable insights or making introductions even when there's no immediate deal on the table. That's how you build a relationship capital that pays off for years. But here's the most important part. Executive relationships require consistency. I'm checking in quarterly and sharing industry news, making introductions to other peers in the industry, and sharing what we're hearing from their teams, because oftentimes at the top, they don't know what's going down on the bottom. That's how you turn one deal into a multi-year 7 or 8 figure partnership. So let's recap. 4 skills that separate 300K reps from everyone else: strategic multi-threading, enterprise discovery, value anchoring and deal orchestration, and executive relationship building. You probably have 1 or 2 already, but to break 300K plus a year in tech sales, you need all 4 working together. So start with value anchoring. It's the fastest way to increase your deal size and your win rate. If you want my full playbook, including scripts, templates, and frameworks I use to close multi-million-dollar deals every single year, check out the link in the description. But don't just watch this and move on. Pick one skill, use it in your next deal, see what happens. The difference between 150K sales reps and 300K reps isn't talent, it's execution. So what skill are you going to work on first? Drop it down in the comments. And if this helped you, hit subscribe. I share the real tactics I'm using right now to close deals.